Child, you are not a mistake, nor a maybe. You are a divine declaration. Walk like you believe it. Speak like you own it. Wrap your arms around your own soul. Let no love come before your own. For until you love yourself, you offer the world a ghost of your light. Self-love is the foundation for all other love. It is not vanity, not arrogance, not pride puffed up with noise. It is a quiet, steady knowing. It is the way you look in the mirror and say, I am worthy, even on the days the world turns its back. It is the way you sit with your own heart and decide you do not need to be fixed to be lovable. Self-love is the soil, the seed, and the sun of all the tenderness we give away to others. When you truly love yourself, you stop asking for permission to be whole. You stop waiting on someone to make you feel complete. You come to understand that no amount of applause, attention, or affection can fill a cup you refuse to hold for yourself. The love you give to others will always be flavored by the love you give yourself. Bitter within becomes bitter without. Sweet within, sweetness flows out like honey in the sun. You cannot give what you do not have. A heart starved of self-love hands out fragments, not fullness. It performs love like a duty, hoping for return, hoping for validation, hoping that someone else will finish what you have not begun within. But when you love yourself first, love becomes abundance. You pour, not because you are depleted and desperate, but because you are overflowing. Love that begins with self is not selfish. It is sustainable. It endures storms, setbacks, silences. It is rooted too deep to be shaken loose. A woman who has learned to love herself is a different kind of strong. She does not chase, she does not beg, she does not settle. She walks in rooms like she belongs there, even if no one claps. She lets go of what diminishes her, not because she's cruel, but because she's clear. She does not wait for someone else to name her value. She knows. She knows in her bones. She knows in her breath. She knows in the stillness of night and in the rising of day. You see, love that starts within gives permission for everything else to fall in place. Boundaries are no longer punishments. They are acts of love. Saying no becomes a sacred act. Walking away becomes wisdom, not weakness. The need to control others fades because your peace no longer depends on their behavior. You become the guardian of your own joy, the author of your own worth. Self-love is not about bubble baths and poetry, though it can be. It's not about soft music and scented candles, though those may help. It's about how you speak to yourself in the silence. It's about the stories you no longer believe, that you are too much or not enough, or only lovable if you perform. Self-love is the rebellion against every lie that told you you had to earn your place in the world. It begins in the small things, saying no to what drains you, saying yes to what feeds you, taking up space, allowing yourself to rest, holding your head high when the world wants you small, forgiving yourself, being gentle with your scars. Loving yourself is not a final destination. It is a daily choice. Sometimes hourly, sometimes minute by minute. And yet, every time you choose it, the world around you shifts. You teach others how to treat you by how you treat yourself. There is no relationship more important than the one you have with your own soul. Every other connection grows from there. Lovers, friends, children, strangers, all will be touched by the way you hold yourself. Love yourself first, not as a shield, but as a compass. Let it guide how you walk, how you speak, how you let people enter or exit your life. Self-love is not lonely, it is luminous. It is a flame that draws the right kind of warmth toward you and sends the cold away. And when you love yourself, really love yourself, you stop waiting for others to save you. You realize you've been your own salvation all along. You become less interested in being chosen and more devoted to choosing yourself. That's when love, true love, has room to grow. Because when you love yourself first, you're no longer begging for crumbs. You are the feast. You are the table. You are the whole holy offering. You teach the world how to treat you by how you treat yourself. Every gesture you make toward your own spirit is a silent lesson, a quiet announcement to those watching. If you handle yourself with care, the world takes note. If you diminish your worth, tolerate disrespect, or settle for less, that too becomes a signal, an unspoken permission slip for others to follow suit. It starts in places too subtle to notice at first. The way you dismiss your own needs, the way you laugh off pain to make others comfortable, the way you apologize for your presence when you haven't done a thing wrong. These small habits become a language, one that tells the world how to respond to you. People listen to how you speak to yourself and take cues. If you constantly criticize yourself, they'll think it's acceptable to do the same. If you honor yourself, your time, your space, they will either rise to meet you or quietly remove themselves. You see, the energy you bring into a room speaks louder than your words. If you walk like your voice doesn't matter, don't be surprised when others talk over you. If you stay quiet when someone crosses your boundary, you've taught them they can do it again. But when you carry yourself with dignity, when you show up like your presence has weight and meaning, others begin to adjust. Respect grows where self-respect lives. This isn't about being hard or defensive. It's about being clear. It's about showing, not telling, what is acceptable in your orbit. You don't have to demand respect when you live as though it is your birthright. You don't have to beg for love when you love yourself out loud. You become the standard. You become the example, the mirror. People treat you in ways that align with the expectations you silently set. If you constantly forgive without accountability, they'll keep hurting you. If you stay when they neglect you, they'll assume you don't mind. But the moment you choose yourself, even when it's hard, even when it means being alone, you send a message. This is what I require. This is what I deserve. And the ones who are meant for you will meet you there. The rest will fall away, and let them. Self-treatment is not just private behavior. It spills out into the public. It determines who enters your life, who stays, and who goes. It shapes how your children watch you, how your friends speak to you, how your partner values you. And most importantly, it shapes how you see yourself in the quiet moments, when no one's watching but your own reflection. If you want the world to honor your boundaries, you must honor them first. If you want people to speak to you with kindness, speak to yourself that way every day. If you want love that is gentle and real, begin by offering it to the person in the mirror. The world echoes your inner world. It reflects what you project, whether you know it or not. Teaching others how to treat you doesn't mean controlling them. It means modeling what respect looks like. It means not tolerating behavior that makes you feel small. It means being brave enough to walk away when staying teaches someone they can hurt you without consequence. And it means being consistent, not loving yourself just on good days, but especially on the days you feel most undeserving. This path isn't always easy. There will be moments when loving yourself feels like loss, like walking away from people you once begged to stay. There will be times when silence feels safer than speaking your needs. But each time you choose to value yourself, you build a life that reflects that truth. And soon, people stop guessing how to treat you. They simply observe and follow your lead. Your life becomes your loudest statement. Your boundaries become your strength, and your self-regard becomes the firm ground upon which all your relationships stand. You teach the world how to treat you, not with words, but with the choices you make, the standards you uphold, and the love you show yourself every single day. Boundaries are not walls. They are bridges to healthier connections. They are not punishments, not cold silences, or locked doors meant to shut people out. Boundaries are the language of self-respect. They say, I know who I am, I know what I need, and I am willing to be in connection with you without losing myself. That's not cruelty, that's clarity. Too many people mistake boundaries for rejection, but a boundary is not the end of intimacy. It is the beginning of honesty. When you set a boundary, you give someone a roadmap to you. You tell them what is safe, what is sacred, what is not to be crossed. And when someone respects that line, the trust between you grows. Not because everything is perfect, but because everything is clear. Without boundaries, relationships become a blur of expectations, disappointments, and silent resentments. You say yes when you mean no. You stay quiet when your soul screams. You shrink to fit someone else's comfort and call it love. But that's not connection. That's erosion. And the longer you go without honoring your own limits, the harder it becomes to find yourself in the chaos of pleasing others. Boundaries are an act of love, not just for yourself, but for the people you care about. Because when you let someone know what is too much, what is not okay, what hurts, you give them a chance to rise, to adjust, to meet you in a more authentic place. And if they can't or won't, then the boundary did its job. It protected your peace. Setting boundaries is not about control. It's about responsibility. It's not telling others what to do. It's telling them what you will and won't accept in your life. You're not trying to force them to change. You're simply being honest about your own capacity, your own comfort, your own needs. That honesty doesn't push people away. It filters who's willing to walk with you without stepping over you. You cannot have real closeness without truth. And truth is impossible without boundaries. When you constantly abandon your own needs to keep the peace, the relationship becomes one-sided. Over time, bitterness builds. You begin to resent the very people you once wanted to love. But when you speak your boundaries, even with trembling voice, you give that relationship a chance to breathe in something real, a chance to become more equal, more respectful, more kind. People often fear that boundaries will make them alone. But loneliness does not come from setting boundaries. It comes from being surrounded by people who don't see you, don't hear you, don't honor you. Real connection can only exist where you are allowed to be your full self, not just the parts that are convenient to others. Boundaries create the space where real love can live, love that honors both people, not just one. You are not selfish for saying, I need space. You are not wrong for saying, this hurts me. You are not unkind for saying, I cannot give more than I have. Those are not rejections. They are invitations. Invitations for others to know you more deeply, to treat you more gently, to love you more wisely. And when those invitations are declined, that too is a gift. A painful one, yes, but a gift nonetheless, because it shows you who can meet you where you are and who cannot. There is strength in softness. There is courage in choosing clarity over comfort. There is power in saying, this is who I am, and this is what I need to feel safe and whole. Boundaries are not barriers, they are doorways, and only the right people will walk through them. In a world that teaches you to overextend, to accommodate, to bend until you break, boundaries are your reminder that you are allowed to exist as a full person, that you are worthy of peace, that you don't have to explain or justify or shrink to be loved. You just have to stand firm and kind in your truth. Because when you honor your boundaries, you teach others how to love you well. You show them how to care for you without costing yourself. And in that space, clear, sacred, protected, relationships don't suffer. They thrive, not because they are without tension, but because they are built on truth. And truth is the most loving bridge of all. You cannot pour from an empty vessel. You cannot give peace if you are at war within. You cannot extend compassion when you are depleted of care. The world may try to convince you otherwise, that you must keep showing up, keep giving, keep bending, until there's nothing left of you but fragments. But the truth is simple and unshakable. You must be full to overflow. Giving is beautiful, but only when it comes from a place of abundance, not exhaustion. Too often we wear ourselves thin for others, believing that sacrifice equals love. We stretch ourselves past the point of breaking, thinking if we just give a little more, people will stay, that our worth is tied to how much we offer, but love given at the cost of your own well-being is not sustainable. It's martyrdom dressed up as devotion, and it leaves you empty, bitter, and lost. Rest is not laziness, it is repair. Silence is not weakness. It is strength gathering its breath. Saying not now does not make you selfish. It makes you wise. You were never meant to carry everyone else's burdens while neglecting your own. You cannot fix, save, or soothe the world if you are crumbling on the inside. And no, your pain will not disappear just because you've distracted yourself with someone else's needs. You must turn inward. You must tend to yourself the way you so easily tend to others. The vessel must be filled again and again with sleep, with solitude, with joy, with nourishment, with laughter, with boundaries strong enough to hold your energy in place. You must become your own keeper, your own refuge, because when you are full, truly full, your presence becomes a gift, not a plea. You are no longer reaching to be needed. You are simply offering what overflows. It is not noble to run on fumes. It is not heroic to hide your pain. There is no prize for breaking yourself to keep others whole. You do not need to bleed to prove your love. You do not need to be tired to be valuable. The people who truly see you, who truly love you, will never ask you to abandon yourself for their comfort. The world celebrates burnout. It claps for overachievers. It applauds the ones who show up for everything and everyone all the time with a smile that hides the weight they carry. But your spirit was not designed for constant output. You are not a machine. You are a living, breathing being with a heart that needs tending and a soul that needs rest. And when you choose to rest, when you choose to fill yourself, you do not become less valuable. You become more powerful, more grounded, more whole. You make wiser decisions. You set clearer boundaries. You give from a place that does not need applause because it is rooted in peace. Your love becomes softer, stronger, and more sacred when it is not born of depletion. You must learn to give to yourself without guilt. To say, I matter too, to make room for your own healing, your own dreams, your own voice. This is not a betrayal of others. It is a reunion with yourself. And from that reunion, everything you give will be deeper, truer, and more alive. There will always be people who ask for more than you can give. There will always be needs that stretch beyond your reach. But that is not your failure. That is life. You were never meant to hold it all. You were meant to hold yourself first, and then, with what remains, offer it freely, lovingly, without resentment, without regret. Filling your own vessel is not optional. It is essential. You deserve your own tenderness, your own care, your own time. You deserve to be the one who does not abandon you when life gets loud. Because when you stand full, when your heart is whole and your energy renewed, you are no longer surviving, you are living. You are no longer barely getting by, you are glowing. And from that place, you don't just pour, you flow, you nourish, you bless, without emptying yourself in the process. Your worth is not up for negotiation. It is not a topic open for debate, not something to be haggled over in the marketplace of people's opinions. You do not become more worthy because someone chooses you, and you do not become less worthy because someone walks away. Your value is not dependent on what others see. It is rooted in what you know, and you must know it even when the world forgets. Too often, we hand our worth to others like a question, am I enough now? We wait for someone else to answer, someone else to approve, to validate, to affirm. But when your worth depends on outside approval, it becomes fragile, unstable, conditional. The moment they withdraw their praise, their affection, their interest, you crumble because you were building yourself on someone else's foundation. That is not love. That is bondage. You were born whole, not when you lost weight, not when you achieved success, not when they said you were beautiful, whole. From the very beginning, no heartbreak, failure, rejection, or mistake has the authority to strip you of your value. You are not your lowest moment. You are not the worst thing that's been said about you. You are not what someone didn't see in you. You must stop trying to earn what you already possess. Worth is not a reward for suffering. It is not granted after you've proven yourself through pain or perfection. You do not need to keep shrinking to be loved. You do not need to keep quiet to be accepted. The moment you try to bargain with your worth, if I act this way, they'll stay. If I change myself, they'll choose me. You've already stepped away from your power. The right people will not need you to dim your light. They will not flinch at your truth. They will not make you feel like you must beg for the bare minimum. But the wrong people will always try to negotiate your value because it benefits them when you forget it. It benefits them when you doubt yourself, when you settle, when you silence your voice so theirs can echo louder. Knowing your worth is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is knowing who you are without needing to explain it. It's choosing peace over people pleasing. It's walking away, not because you don't care, but because you care too much to let yourself be diminished. It's saying, I am not here to be tolerated. I am here to be respected, fully, completely, without conditions. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. If you keep accepting less, they'll keep offering less. If you lower your standards, they'll meet you there. But the moment you decide your worth is not up for negotiation, everything changes. Your energy shifts. Your boundaries sharpen. You stop entertaining what drains you. You stop justifying your presence. You begin to walk like someone who remembers who they are. And yes, some people will leave, let them. Some doors will close, let them. Your value does not decrease when others fail to recognize it. Their inability to see your light does not dim it. In fact, sometimes it shines brighter in their absence. You begin to see yourself more clearly when you stop waiting to be seen through someone else's distorted lens. There will be days when doubt creeps in, when old wounds whisper lies. But even then, especially then, you must hold the line. You must remind yourself that your worth is not a fleeting thing. It is not based on your productivity, your appearance, your relationship status, or your history. It is anchored in your existence. You are worthy because you are here. You do not need to audition for your own life. You do not need to keep earning a seat at the table. You are the table. You are the feast. You are the soul offering, rich and radiant, just as you are. Not once you've improved, not once you've healed everything. Now in this moment, exactly as you stand. So stand tall, speak boldly, love yourself fiercely, and let the world rise or fall around that unshakable truth. Your worth is not up for negotiation, not now, not ever. Loving yourself is not selfish, it is sacred. It is not an act of arrogance or vanity, but one of reverence. To love yourself is to acknowledge the divine spark within, to treat your own being as something holy, worthy, and whole. The world may tell you to give endlessly, to sacrifice, to put yourself last in the name of humility, but love that excludes the self is incomplete. It is a river trying to flow without a source. You were never meant to become small in order to be accepted. You were never meant to carry the weight of others while denying your own need for rest, for kindness, for grace. To love yourself is to recognize that your needs matter too, that your dreams, your boundaries, your body, your voice are not burdens, they are blessings. And when you love yourself, truly love yourself, you begin to move through the world with a quiet power. You no longer ask for permission to exist. You exist fully, boldly, softly, honestly. Self-love is not about escaping responsibility or ignoring your flaws. It is about holding yourself accountable with compassion, not cruelty. It's about saying, I may not be perfect, but I am still worthy of tenderness. It is about choosing to show up for yourself even when the world doesn't, especially when the world doesn't. Because if you don't root for your own soul, who will? Loving yourself means honoring your truth even when it's inconvenient. It means saying no when your spirit says no, even if others want a yes. It means walking away from what depletes you, not because you are selfish, but because you have learned the sacred art of preservation. You've learned that peace is not something you can borrow from others. It must live within. It is not selfish to take time to heal. It is not selfish to rest. It is not selfish to choose yourself again and again when everything and everyone pulls you in 1,000 directions. You are not meant to save everyone else while losing your own breath. You are not here to be a reservoir that is emptied until dry. Love, to be real, must include you too. There is sacredness in the way you hold yourself after being broken, in the way you begin again, in the way you whisper to your reflection, I am enough, even with tired eyes and a weary heart. That is sacred. That is self-love. It is the daily choosing of yourself, not over others, but alongside others. It is saying, I belong in this life I've been given. I am allowed to take up space. The ones who truly love you will not shrink under the light of your self-love. They will not resent your wholeness or your healing. They will not call your boundaries selfish or your joy excessive. They will recognize the sacred in you because they have found it in themselves too. But those who have not yet learned how to love themselves may be frightened by your freedom. Let them be. Do not dim for their comfort. Self-love is also not loud. It does not always shout. Sometimes it looks like choosing silence over chaos. Sometimes it is waking up and doing one small thing to care for yourself when the weight of the day feels too heavy. Sometimes it is simply breathing through the moment without judgment. That too is sacred. That too is love. You are not meant to prove your worth through suffering. You do not need to be broken to be beautiful. You do not need to be useful to be valuable. You are not a project to be perfected. You are a soul to be cherished. And loving yourself means accepting all of you, the light and the dark, the past and the becoming, the scars and the softness. You were not put on this earth to endlessly give until there is nothing left for you. You were meant to live fully, to feel deeply, to laugh loudly, to rest unapologetically, to be held in your own arms when no one else understands. That is not selfish. That is sacred. When you love yourself, you invite the world to meet you there. You create space for honest connections. You teach others what love looks like. Grounded, gentle, unwavering. And from that sacred place, everything you give becomes more honest, more whole, more free. Because love that begins within is the most lasting, the most healing, the most divine. When you love yourself first, you become the anchor in your own life. You stop negotiating your worth, stop begging for acceptance, and start standing in quiet confidence. You realize that boundaries are not rejections, but sacred bridges, that rest is not weakness, but restoration, and that giving from a full vessel is the only way love remains pure. You teach the world how to treat you by the way you treat yourself, gently, firmly, faithfully. And in that truth, you become unshakable. Self-love is not selfish. It is the sacred beginning of every meaningful connection, every enduring peace, every radiant joy. Let the world adjust to your wholeness, not the other way around.